now you got to develop them and see how it turns out in 3 or 4 years. I definitely think that Alabama put together a lot of strong pieces in this class that they're going to have an opportunity to compete for another championship. I mean, it's a championship caliber recruiting class, offense and defensive wise. Obviously, with Bryce Young leading the charge on the offensive side of the ball, and then looking at on defense. I mean, you got to think this is one of Coach Saban's best defensive classes that he's put together during his time in Tuscaloosa. On all levels. From the defensive line with Timothy Smith and DeMille Burrows and Demarion Latham, William Anderson, to linebackers. You got Drew Sanders and DeMoy Kennedy, Chris Braswell, Jackson Bratton. Just an incredible linebacker group. Probably, in my opinion, the best linebacker group that Alabama's been able to sign since, really in a long time. I mean, not just during the Nick Saban era, but I mean, I've covered recruiting for 17 years, and definitely seems like one of the best classes that I've seen. And then obviously defensive back wise, getting a junior college cornerback like Ronald Williams, top junior college cornerback in the country. You've got Brian Branch, who's a Eddie Jackson type player that can come in and make a big impact. I mean, like I said, all levels of the defense, I thought Alabama did extremely well, and definitely a class that they should be able to compete. Should be able to compete for a championship, and but now it's all about coaching. It's all about development. It's all about making sure these guys stay on track. I mean, as we've seen, the last couple of years with some of these 5-star type guys, Antonio Alfano, Yabi Anoma, had some issues, and they ended up leaving, transferring from the program, or being asked to leave. I don't think it was Alfano that was asked to leave, but maybe Yabi Anoma was, and I don't think this class has really any of those headaches. I think this is a very strong character class. I think that's what's really needed, and I think Alabama was very careful in some of the guys, not some, but all the guys that they recruited, all the guys that they signed. I think that was certainly something that they have had some issues with in the past, and I think they certainly signed a great group of kids.
Full speed ahead now to the class of 2021. Alabama has 3 commitments. Drake May, the quarterback out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Austin, Texas cornerback Latrell McCutcheon, and Mobile Christian outside pass rusher Deonte Lawson. I thought it was interesting, though, Bone, you had a great article a couple of days ago at BamaInsider.com. Alabama really tore it up in-state for the class of 2020, and it's another pretty good year coming up in 2021, and you've written about a lot of the top prospects for 2021 in-state. Let's start with Kool-Aid McKinstry, JaQuincy McKinstry there at Pension Valley, who's now going to be coached by former Alabama safety Sam Shade, who just took that job. I mean, this guy's a next-level athlete, wants to play basketball in college. Alabama's already said that's cool with them. That gives you some idea how good an athlete he is, because Nick Saban isn't usually a big fan of that. Give us some insight on McKinstry, what type of player he is as an athlete, and where Alabama stands.
Well, tremendous athlete. I mean, one of the best athletes I've seen in several years. Can play on either side of the ball in college. Can really just do anything you want him to do, whether it's defensive back, wide receiver. And obviously he's a very talented basketball player, has basketball offers from many of the top programs throughout the country, many of the top basketball programs throughout the country, and just recently picked up an offer from Alabama in basketball from Nate Oates. He was in Tuscaloosa for Junior Day a couple weekends ago, but actually spent a lot of time with the basketball program. Didn't just pass by Coach Oates and pick up an offer. He was it was almost like he was on a basketball visit. That's how much time he spent with the basketball team and the program, and learning a little bit more about those guys. And I definitely think that Alabama is a front runner for him. He's been to Tuscaloosa just many, many times. he's not naming any favorites just yet, but I have a strong feeling that Alabama is firmly in the driver's seat for Kool-Aid, and I think he will. I don't know when he'll make a decision, but I think when he does, I think as of right now, I would pick Alabama.
Tim Keenan, the third out of Ramsey, another one of these interior defensive linemen that Birmingham has been sending out mainly to Alabama, it seems like, in the Darius, Deron Payne, Quentin Williams mold. I saw a picture of him, though, next to DJ Dale. He's listed at Rivals at 6'2". He looked like he had a good 2 inches easily on Dale in that picture. Now, this is a big kid, powerful, and every indication, Bone, is that he's Alabama bound. Now, I know the process has to play out, but is there any reason to believe he won't wind up playing for the Crimson Tide?
Yeah, it's hard to believe that he won't. I definitely think that Alabama is strongly in the driver's seat for him as well. He's been to Tuscaloosa just so many times throughout the last few years. He was offered before he was a junior. Just got so many offers right now, and Alabama is probably at the top of his list. Been to Tuscaloosa just so many times, and he says right now that he wants to wait it out because he doesn't want to be one of these kids that commits to a program and then flips and goes somewhere else. Yeah. I wouldn't see that happening if he went ahead and committed to Alabama. I just think they're just so far ahead of every other school. But he does like some other programs, likes LSU, likes Auburn, likes Georgia. Wants to kind of take some visits during the spring, enjoy the process a little bit more. But in the end, I definitely think he's going to end up at Alabama. I mean, great kid, great on and off the field, plays with a high motor. Very aggressive. He's been going to Alabama's camp for the last couple of years, and every single year continues to improve. And there's no doubt he's one of Alabama's top interior defensive line targets.
I want to ask you about an interesting prospect to me because small school kid, Dillon Brooks from Hanley High School in Roanoke, 6'5", 210, so obviously he's got to get his weight up. And I think you're saying that he has already gained some weight. I think you've got it saying that he's now close to 230, but he's an outside pass rusher. We know how in demand these type of players are. Give us some insight on Brooks, and where does Alabama stand with him?
Yeah, Dillon Brooks, same high school as Bradley Bozeman, former Alabama offensive lineman, now with the Baltimore Ravens. Came into Alabama's camp last summer and did pretty well, and Alabama continues to evaluate him and watch him. He's continued to develop and get stronger, get bigger. Had a really good junior season, and like I said, he's or like you said, he's gotten up a little bit, about 230 pounds. He was 210. I think that that was kind of a lot of these height and weights on player profile pages. Sometimes and maybe it's my fault, but on some of these Alabama kids, but sometimes they forget to get updated. These profile pages get built maybe when a kid's a sophomore, or even sometimes as a freshman, and they don't get updated. At least their height and weight doesn't, and so everybody kind of just assumes, all right, that's their height and weight. But Dillon Brooks has put on about 20 pounds, and so he's a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, and definitely somebody that Alabama likes a lot. Auburn's really pressing hard for him. I think he probably stays in state. It's probably like I said, it's probably an Alabama-Auburn battle. Been to both programs several times, but I think Alabama's really starting to push hard for him, and they really like him, and they're recruiting him as an outside backer, jack linebacker type player.
Bone, we're up against a hard break since the top of the hour. We got a minute left, and we can continue this next week. But I already mentioned Deonte Lawson, who is committed out of Mobile Christian, where he plays for Ronnie Cottrell, former Alabama recruiting coordinator. I've watched a little video of this guy. Great motor. I really like him. Tremendous athlete. Much like Brooks, 6'3", 215, probably going to have to gain some weight. But tell us about Lawson and what kind of player he is.
Well, he won the Class 3A Lineman of the Year. Had a great junior season, obviously. Started on both sides of the ball. can kind of do it all. Reminds me a lot of Demoy Kennedy, Alabama signee from Theodore High School. Can play inside, can play outside. I think he's probably going to end up developing into an inside linebacker, but kind of surprised a lot of people when he made an early commitment to Alabama. Had a top three of Alabama, LSU, and Auburn, and I imagine those schools are going to continue to press for him. But as of right now, can't see him flipping. He's a pretty firm commitment to Alabama.
Other in-state prospects that Bone mentioned, go to BamaInsider.com to read more. You can also follow Bone on Twitter at Andrew J. Bone. Listen for him on different radio shows, including this one every Wednesday. Thank you, Bone.
Thanks, Gary.